To Congressman Buddy Carter, the Georgia Republican, what he makes of that. And you're not surprised under these higher costs. You've been warning about them, Congress, and government spending certainly hasn't helped the issue. But these are pretty eye-popping numbers. What do you make of it?
Oh, certainly they're eye-popping numbers. Let me tell you, as you pointed out, school supplies this year are going to be $168 more than they were in 2019. That's a 30% increase, $864. I mean, you got to be kidding me. And this is a direct result of Joe Biden's inflation crisis. It's a direct result of the out-of-control spending of the Democrats that we've experienced here in Washington, D.C. This Inflation Reduction Act, which I refer to as the Inflation Acceleration Act, that's just going to put fuel on the fire. People are hurting out there, and they can't count on the federal government to help them because the federal government is spending tax dollars on Green New Deal initiatives or paying back student debt. It's ridiculous what's going on here.
All right. Well, you know, they come right back at you Republicans, as you know, Congress, and say, well, you know, you had a role in this, too, and there were other factors going on in the world to contribute to that. Be that as it may, I'm just curious where you see it going and what the answer is, because it looks like the president will indeed get his way, at least initially, with forgiving a lot of this student debt, might and probably would be overruled in the courts and say couldn't do that. But how do you undo that? Let's say that happens and that this money goes out to all of these kids, 40 million plus, and then a federal judge comes along and says you can't do that. How do you undo the money those people got?
Well, that's a great question. And we've been asking that question not only about student debt loans, but also about a number of initiatives that have been instigated and put into place by the Biden administration, just like in the Inflation Acceleration Act that I mentioned before with the prescription drug pricing. That is something I'm very interested in as a pharmacist. And I've been asking my colleagues, how are we going to undo that when we get into the majority? Because that is going to destroy research and development. Those kind of questions are what we're going to be faced with when we get back into the majority next session, is how do we undo some of this damage that has been done by this administration with their out-of-control spending?
You talk about when you get back in the majority. Are worried, though, when you talk about how tight these polls have become, this seat flipping in Alaska, that might be temporary, I grant you. But the Democrats are sort of feeling their oats here a little bit. And now some polls indicate, is it going to be by the margin you want? Now Nancy Pelosi in the last few hours saying, no, we're going to hang on to the House. Forget about, losing it. And the Senate is ours as well. What are you saying?
No. Well, look, Alaska was an anomaly. I mean, 60% of the voters voted Republican, but you got a Democrat elected with less than 40% of the vote. That was an anomaly. And yeah, I've been watching the polls, too, and I see what's going on. This is not totally unexpected. We knew that there were going to be some waves here during this election cycle. 68 more days to go. Right. I can assure you there will be some changes, but I'm very confident in the Republicans because we've got the right message, because we understand that people are hurting right now, that it's inflation, gas and grocery prices, that it's crime, that it's immigration.
What is that message then, Congressman? Because, a lot of people have wrapped Republicans saying, all right, you're just trying to ride the wave here and benefit from the disarray in the economy and elsewhere. So your message to voters is we're not just against something, we're for what?
Absolutely. And that's our commitment to America, because we are for making America stronger. We are for making this nation safer. We are for having a future that is free. And we are for having a government that is accountable. Those are the four pillars of our commitment to America.
When you talk about that, and what the specifics are, you don't want to spend as much. I assume you want to cut taxes. So a couple of other examples to close the deal with American voters who are still a little unsure.
Look, we're ready, and we're going to be ready and hit the ground running when we get to January and take over the majority. We have got task force out working on health care, working on our economy, working on China, working on telecommunications, all of those things that people are concerned with. We're going to address those, and we're going to be ready to go in January.
All right. Bottom line, though, you would be for revisiting opening up more oil lands for production, right?
Absolutely. No question about it. We've got to unleash American energy. We've got to do away with these regulations that are killing us now. And we've got to make sure that we're not doing any harm. We're not putting more money into the economy. That's what's causing inflation.
So you would cut taxes as well. You would cut taxes. Because the Democrats, as you know, sir, have been saying, well, they benefit the rich with their tax cuts. We're trying to benefit average folks with our spending. You're saying it's not the case at all.
Not the case at all. And a perfect example is the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that we passed while we were in the majority that had our economy humming.
All right. We'll watch very, very closely. Congressman, always great catching up with you. Buddy Carter, the beautiful state of Georgia.